Good afternoon from a very overcast UK. Sun is up there shining bright. Earlier on there was a partial solar eclipse. The moon partially obscured the sun and it looked like a giant Pac-Man. It was amazing to see. If you're interested in that kind of thing. That tree is absolutely enormous. I quite often find myself sat here for hours just walking around graveyards, cemeteries. Wherever I can find a grave, I'll be there. Like, if you can't find me, just go and look in a church or a cemetery and I'll be there. But David Berkowitz also loves cemeteries. His adopted mother Pearl used to take him as a child. They'd go and wash the graves, clean the graves, read the graves, because each grave tells a story. Each grave is unique, you know, and I think that's why people love them so much. It's like reading a story. But when David Berkowitz got older, the love of cemeteries was for all the wrong reasons. I mean, he was looking for his victims' graves. I don't know if he ever found any, but he sure was looking. 6 graves he was looking for. Which is a good segue into today's topic. This is just a quick pop-up video. Like I say, I haven't got any fancy intros, any fancy documents, no newspapers to show you. It's just me talking. Wendy Savino and the fantastic YouTuber wannabe detective Manny Grossman. So around April, May last year, Manny and his sidekick claimed to have discovered a possible new victim of David's. David Berkowitz is an American serial killer who was arrested on August 10th, 1977 for 8 attacks, injuring 7 and killing 6. But according to Mandy, Wendy Savino should be added to that list. The problem is there's absolutely no evidence linking David to the crime. And the more nonsense Manny comes out with, the more I and many others are convinced he didn't do it. David denies it for one, yet he confessed to crimes not linked to him the night he was arrested. I mean, that motherfucker was being so open and honest with the cops. They couldn't believe it. Like, he even handed over the keys to his apartment. Wendy didn't die. David was confessing to, like, attacking Michelle Foreman, the Hispanic girl. Why wouldn't he confess to Wendy's crime? She didn't die. It makes no sense. If they had any suspicions it was David, surely the night he was arrested would have been a good time to ask him, to question him, anything. But as far as I'm aware, that never happened. Wendy was shot with a .32. No .32 was found in David's possession. He had a 12 gauge, a 22, a 45 and a 44. No .32 found in his possession, registered in his name whatsoever. Wendy says her attacker was lurking around the car. David never lurked around the car. He shot and fled. That motherfucker was out of there. Like Mr. Barlow, Tommy Zano, how fast he was running. David wasn't like casually walking out of his, walking away from his attacks. He was bombing it. Until he said he got a few yards from his car, then he'd a gradual pace. But from the point of shooting, he was running. There was no casual walking. Wendy says her attacker walked up. It just doesn't fit with David's MO. None of the witnesses to the attack says David walked away. David always ran. Wendy says the gunman was smiling. Where have you ever seen any reports of David grinning? You've got Cecilia Davis. She wasn't a victim. She said he had a grin like a Cheshire cat. He looked like he was going on a date. He was not witnessed smiling. People said he was creepy looking. That's not smiling. The leather jacket. David was never witnessed wearing a leather jacket. Ski jacket. Denim jacket. Where do you see a leather jacket anywhere? So apparently John Camperado lent David a leather jacket in the early 70s, late 60s? Okay, for one, David moved so many times, so the chances of him still having that jacket are very slim. He even moved overseas at one point when he went into the army. So I mean, where did the jacket end up? You know, you have to think of all these things, which Manny just doesn't seem to do. He takes one piece of like one story and does exactly what Maury does. He weaves it into a story, even though it doesn't make any sense. And also, David gained considerable weight in between the early 70s and 76, 77. And they go by this, 160, 170 pounds. David was like 200 pounds when he was arrested. Like, it's like 30, 40 pound difference. I mean, that's a lot. And apparently John Camperado asked for the jacket back. And apparently Nat Berkowitz donated it. So, I mean, you take all this together and the chances of David still having that coat are very slim. David said to Jack Jones in 1980 that he couldn't get a handgun in New York. That's why he asked his mate Billy Dan Parker to buy the gun. I mean, they went and saw the movie Taxi Driver. That movie had such an impact on David. The 44 Magnum. I think it was a 44 Magnum Travis Bickle had. So he sees this 44 Bulldog revolver in the pawn shop and he's like, this is a sign from God. I've got to get this freaking gun. And he did. He bought it. But yet, according to Manny Grossman, David had a 32. But David found it really hard to buy a handgun, which is why he got Billy Dan to buy it. If he had access to the black market, why would he be asking his mate to buy him a gun? Possibly arousing suspicion? Like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Another point to make is David, he always referred to Donna Lauria and Jody Valenti as his first attack. Like countless interviews. He never slips up and refers to Donna Lauria as like his second attack. Carl Denaro's his third attack. Like, that would stick in his mind. You never hear him slip up once. And at the end of the day, all we have is Wendy saying David did it. She IDs him after his arrest when his face is plastered all over the media. David was perfect for Wendy, the perfect scapegoat. In many ways, he was well known. You know, he used a gun, shot into cars. Problem is, he always targeted two people in a car. And what I've recently discovered is David always shot into the passenger side. So you have two people in the car and David targeting the passenger side. Wendy was a lone female, shot on the driver's side. So that goes completely against David's MO. Also, Wendy was considerably older than the other David's victims. She was 39. I think Christine Freund was what, 26, 27? She was the oldest. Michelle Foreman was the youngest at 15. I mean, the fact that Detective Klein has been manipulated by Manny Grossman just astounds me. I mean, they harped on about the Cassara dates, which are totally wrong. David left the Cassaras on the 4th, went back on the 8th to collect his belongings. But Manny will have you believe that David fled on the 8th, went and shot Wendy on the 9th. It just didn't happen like that. And the old lady, David confessed to shooting an old lady in Yonkers with a 45. How is that even remotely like Wendy's attack? She was attacked in the Bronx with a 32. And this whole theories I've been hearing, oh, you know, maybe Nat Berkowitz gave Berkey the 44, the 32, sorry. You know, already Nat was suspicious of David's mental health. Why is he gonna go and give him a gun? And also you have David telling Jack Jones in 1980, his father hated guns. He wouldn't even go fishing because he hated the hooks in the mouth. So the chances of Nat Berkowitz having a gun and then giving it to David is so remote. So like, and then you hear another theory, you know, David was a taxi driver. Maybe he bought his gun off the, you know, maybe he bought his 32 on the street corner. Hang on a minute. David wasn't a taxi driver till July 76. Wendy was shot in April. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. How do you people not know this? It's just basic information. I mean, I could go on and on about all this crazy stuff. At the end of the day, Manny Grossman has got a lot of people fooled, including Wendy, including Klein. Manny is so desperate for notoriety, he's willing to manipulate a victim of a horrendous attack with lies and the NYPD. I mean, who was responsible for Wendy's attack? I do not know. There's a lot of speculation out there, and I don't want to speculate. You know, I had my thoughts, but I'm going to keep them to myself. But with all the evidence that has been presented lately, it's pushed David further and further away from this. Like, I don't know many people that believe the Wendy Savino story, because it's just so far-fetched and it stands alone. And he's basically trying to rewrite history. He's trying to rewrite the Son of Sam case, which I feel like I'm defending a serial killer, but I'm not. But you can't rewrite history. If you gave us something to work with, Manny, we might be open to the idea. But none of the evidence you've presented over the last year is pointing towards David doing it. None whatsoever. I mean, you have manipulated so much stuff, and then you accuse Maury of it, and you do the exact same thing. Make it make sense, Manny.